Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Randomly Generated Podcast. I am your host, Fedora Gamer, and normally this would be where I introduce my co-host, but real life has gotten in the way of him again. Hopefully, he'll be joining us a little bit later, which is, of course, Maximus J07. And this week's guest, we have the... Sorry, looking at Twitter. Anyway, we have the wonderful Australian lady and indie game expert, Prescription Pixel.
Hi, good morning. Evening, whatever your flavor of day is today.
Yeah, it is Monday morning in Australia where she's at. That's why it's confusing that way. And we are also joined by Paige of TeamTripleSlash, developers of a game that I am extremely fond of called Magnetic by Nature.
Hi there, how's it going?
Pretty good. And besides Max not being here. How is the audio levels there? But really quiet. Jesus, I pumped it up already.
They're okay for me.
Yes, but you're not listening to this stream. Yeah. Skype doesn't agree with stuff sometimes.
No, getting the Skype levels on a stream right it's an art form. It should be like a skill that you learn in school along with maths and science.
And it never seems to be the same settings twice.
No, because your computer could control Skype.
Yeah. Well, I said exactly where it was last time. It's not working. Sometimes OBS goes wonky. Oh, that's why. Jesus. Is that better,
OBS
everybody?
versus-
Yes, it likes to turn its own volume down for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it plays by its own rule book.
Okay, that's better. All right. That's beginning of every podcast is always messing with audio levels every time. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us. Let's go ahead and start out with what we've been playing this week. Pixel, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, a bunch of stuff, because I do all my recordings in one go because of, work and stuff. I played this really awesome alpha called Lumini.
I have heard of it. I haven't actually played it yet, but I've heard of it.
It's like super ambient game, and it's basically about 20 minutes long, and you just basically control this swarm of, they could be aliens or they could be fish, I'm not sure. And it's one of the most relaxing things in the world. And I also played Scenario, which was made for a Brazilian game jam. And that, like, in complete utter contrast, that's like a psychological horror game, which reminds me a lot of the early Silent Hill.
A Brazilian game jam. Is that one that was being sold as a bundle with a bunch of other indie games?
Yeah.
I saw Josh Gaming FTL tweet about that, and I went and bought that actually, but I haven't got around to downloading and playing any of the jam games from it yet.
Real good. Oh, you're gonna love it.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that now. I'm glad Josh tweeted about that.
Yeah, for sure. He's a good guy.
And how about you, Paige? What have you been playing this week?
So I've been catching up on some older games. I actually just finished Cave Story, which I'm super in love with right now. I really, really enjoyed that one.
It's classic.
And now, yeah. People have been talking about it for years, so now I understand why.
I've never actually played it myself either, so you're not the only one.
Oh, good. That makes me feel a little better, especially coming from someone like you.
I've not played it, actually.
Well, I recommend it to both of you. It's just everything about it is brilliant. I can see why people liked it so much. And then I just started Pure Solar. I'm playing that on my Genesis, which it's kind of too early for me to have an intelligent opinion about it, but it's exciting just to play a indie game developed for a retro console. That's really cool.
Your Genesis?
Yeah, or
Genesis.
Mega Drive in your part of the world, yeah.
Yeah. Wait, this is news to me. They're making new games for the Mega Drive.
Well, just a couple have come out. The group that did this one was called Watermelon, and you may have seen they did a Kickstarter for like an HD version of the game. Oh, sometime earlier this year. I'll see if I can find the link for it to send to you later.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
But yeah, it's a 16-bit JRPG style game.
That's crazy that some indie devs out there are actually making cartridge games for retro consoles. That is pretty goddamn amazing, actually.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
think so too.
If you want the retro experience, right, you've got to go to the source.
Now I want to go
Yeah, I
find
can't imagine what they went through.
Now I want to go find myself a Genesis. I wonder if I still have one in the garage. I'm gonna have to get some links from you, or where to grab that from at some point if I can ever get my hands on a Genesis.
I bet they cost a bundle, don't they, to buy now?
Probably. eBay, I'm sure you can find some, but they would probably cost as much as a PS4 does now.
Oh, God knows what they're called here. It's a Genesis in America, a Mega Drive in the UK. Who knows? Or maybe Australia never even got it. They're so they might get it next year. Sega Master System, 2014.
Sounds about right. As for me, I have been playing, I'm sure everybody here knows who Yahtzee is, correct?
Indeed.
Of Zero Punctuation, but he's also a game developer. He likes to make adventure games. And he recently put out a beta of one that's a free beta called TheConsuming Shadow, which is kind of a roguelike FTL-y adventure Lovecraftian horror game that is amazing. It is wonderful. And I should probably find a link to that to throw that in the chat because it is great. And it's free. The beta's free. I don't know if he intends it to always be free, but the beta's up and he's actively asking for feedback and suggestions. And
he's made a few games before.
Yes. I've never actually played any of his until now.
I think I tried one out. I can't remember what distracted me.
It is crazy. Very simple art style. It's all very silhouette-y, kind of limbo-y when you're actually in the side-scrolling kind of combat scenarios, with the Lovecraftian creatures just being a shadow silhouette is goddamn terrifying, and they make some of the most horrifying noises I have ever heard in my life. And it's really hard. There's a bit of a progressive wow, I can't think of the term out. A persistent progression system. I can't talk today. So you gain experience by doing certain things in the game, and after you die, you get levels, and use those levels to permanently increase certain stats and parameters in the game to give you a better chance next time to actually beat the game. And I cannot get this page to load, so I'm trying to find a link to this, I swear, people. But I actually heard about the game through an article on IndieStatic, which Prescription Pixel is affiliated with.
Hi.
But now I can't get this page to load, so I'll throw a link in the chat to that here in a bit. But,
is it super difficult, like retro style?
It's super difficult.
Tear your eyes out difficulty.
It's difficult in that it has the roguelike elements, and it's a lot about managing your sanity and your health. But like the combat, once you learn the enemy's patterns, isn't extremely difficult, but taking a single hit makes a big difference later in the game, being that it's not very easy to regenerate your life, your HP in that game. So it's in the progression system reminds me a little bit of like Rogue Legacy, where it's making yourself better to try again, but is not too as extreme as Rogue Legacies. And the whole story of the game is that one of the Lovecraftian ancient horror gods is trying to come to the world, the Consuming Shadow, and it's your job as an investigator to figure out which one it is. I think there's about 5 of the gods listed in it. You gotta figure out which one it is, and then find the 4 ruins to seal it before it can...
Who done it?
No, I have not completed it. I've gotten kind of close, but kind of close is a relative term, I guess. I mean, I've gotten where I learned 3 of the ruins for the sealing, and had a good idea from the clues I picked up of which of the gods it was. Because you pick up a bunch of clues that don't straight say which one it is. I mean, you start out with the 3 clues that there's one of the gods trying to come to the world. There's another one trying to help him, not directly coming into the world, but trying to help that god. And then there's another one that's actively working against those 2. So you find things that, like, this god is enemies with this god, so that gives you a hint if maybe that might be the one that's working against the main god, but you don't know because there's a lot of different god enemies. And then you get hints like this god is an ally with this god, so that kind of helps you learn, you know, because there's one helping the one trying to conquer. It's a lot of very vague clues that you have to gather enough of to be able to piece it together yourself.
That sounds super.
It is, and I should have a link for it here in a second.
And he
Is
has
there-
a bar just up the road from me.
Yes, I would love... Wow, Poe, what are you tweeting? Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's the wrong tab. Poe just tweeted like a 5-page tweet with just, I don't know. Damn it, Poe. Distracted me. Anyway, there's the link to The Consuming Shadow by Yahtzee. I highly suggest picking it up. It's very atmospheric. And
Thank you very much.
what else have I been playing? I can't... I've been playing some Frozen End Zone, kind of getting ready for that tournament that Josh of Gaming FTL
Josh is putting on. Yeah.
And Pixel just last night has jumped in on that tournament with us.
Oh, I'm so bad at games like that. Josh has literally recruited me as the comic relief. That was what he referred to it as.
I haven't won a single game yet, so
Well,
I might
it's
be
going to
pretty
be a battle to the bottom then.
we'll just say that the tournament is more about promoting the game and having fun than it is about winning, because I think Josh has a lot more game time in that than any of us. Oh, and Ginger
Yeah.
Dragon, which just showed up in the chat, is also in that tournament with us.
Mode 7 games tend to be quite intuitive though, like Frozen Synapse. I've never played stealth games or anything like that, and I picked it up quite quickly. I don't know whether it's because I had Paul Taylor himself showing me how to do it, but they seem to be reasonably easy to just, pick up and play regardless of your previous skill level, which is really cool about them.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
It's very easy after the tutorial to understand how the game works, but then it's very strategic, and when I'm going against people a hell of a lot smarter than me, it doesn't work out so well.
That's true. Well, it's a good thing that all we have to contend with is each other then.
Yes, very good. Very good thing. I'm counting on the fact
play a
that
game of catch.
I'm counting on the fact that almost no one in the tournament has played the game very much except for Josh. So that's my
I'm sure.
my strategy of hopefully not failing horribly. That's about what I've been playing. I can't think of anything else that I've been playing a lot of this week.
One of Josh's subs gifted us a copy of The Cave. I got reminded about it when Paige was talking about Cave Story, because it's got local co-op, so we've been playing that quite a bit. It's really, really good.
That's the one... Oh, I know I saw that. It's published by Sega, isn't it? Or Sega has a hand in it, if I remember right.
I don't know. I just been playing it.
Yeah.
It's it's Double Fine. I don't know if they're
Okay.
affiliated with Sega now. But it's like a comedy puzzle platformer.
Yeah. Multiple
and
different characters you play, right?
Yeah, and
Ah,
they've all
okay.
got a story that you explore and go through, and it's really good fun. It's very social game. I enjoy it a lot.
All right, so let's move on to gaming news, or just, gaming and relevant news to the people involved. The big one is the big YouTube changes coming up to monetization, which is pretty damn terrible, actually. I don't know if Paige knows anything about this, being not too concerned
I have a
with
confession.
That kind of stuff.
I should know things about this, but I don't.
Ohm
I haven't
Record,
been paying any attention.
Ohm Record did a really good video of it, explaining what's going on, and it's not. I didn't even know exactly what's going on either until I saw Ohm Record's video of it, because I had heard things that something was changing, but I'd been just real busy and hadn't looked too deeply into it. But what's happening is multi-channel networks, which is what most gaming YouTubers are in, how those work are being changed drastically. The networks now have a choice of making everyone in their network either an affiliate or a managed channel. When you're an affiliate channel, every single video you put up has to be audited by YouTube before it's put live, which can take days. It's just like, not just like, but anyone that's not in a network either will have to have this happen with every single video. They're getting really stupid about copyright stuff, even though most copyright claims are just abuses and attempt censorship when it comes to the gaming sector, at least. But so now only managed channels have the previous benefit of never having to care about that stuff. previously, if you're monetizing through just YouTube, but not with a network, now and then one of your videos would just get hit by an audit, be like, this can't be put up yet until we audit it. They would just do like it's like random drug testing kind of thing. And that's the reason for people that wanting to monetize their videos were with multi-channel networks in the first place. It's because then you don't have to care about that whatsoever. Well, now, being with a network doesn't buy you that benefit unless you're a managed channel, which very few networks are only managing very few top tier of channels. You know, Polaris and like Total Biscuit is managed, and I'm sure PewDiePie is, but most of the networks aren't giving people managed channels very openly. For one good reason. This is just as much how this is affecting all YouTubers is just as much the network's fault as it is Google's fault. Because now if the channel's managed, it is the network's problem if you get a copyright claim. It falls to the network. The responsibility falls on their shoulders instead of the channel. So they're actually having to take responsibility for the channels in their network if they're a managed channel. So I can't blame them too much for not wanting to manage all the random idiots they were previously just signing up for easy money that they didn't even look at their channels before, for the most part. So now anyone that's an affiliate, which is 99.9% of YouTubers in these networks, will have to have every single video of theirs audited, which Google's claiming with rolling this system out, which I think it starts tomorrow. They claim with rolling this system out that the auditing process is going to be sped up considerably, but we'll see. I don't trust them too much on that. So it could be days. I've heard of video audits. Oh, I can't say that word today. Audits taking up to a week before.
So you've just got to do everything in advance.
Yeah, and which doesn't work for me. I don't do shit. I don't plan my life in advance. And it works out.
But can you upload it as a private video and then once it's audited, have it scheduled for release?
You need to upload it and then put it to unlisted for it to even be put into the queue for being audited. So you got to upload it and put it as unlisted.
When you change things from unlisted to public, your subscribers don't get informed about them.
I've heard of that being broke, and that's another concern of that. Is because that's never really worked too well.
No, your subs. It's like making something private and then public again. They don't.
Well, some do, but
told.
maybe half of your subs, because I've seen those people test that, and it shows up my sub box, but not my buddy's sub box. So it's a very broken system and very inconsistent at that. So, and this is real bad for somebody that does stuff that's time sensitive, like me, like Kickstarters. I do a video series all about Kickstarters called Kicking It, and sometimes the person that starts the devs that start the Kickstarter don't have a playable build right when they start their Kickstarter. They don't think to have one ready, and then all the press are asking for one, and they're scramble during their Kickstarter to get something playable out. And there's been a couple times where the devs have got me a playable build only a week, 6 days before the Kickstarter ends, and then I immediately make a video and put it up as fast as I can. But if it gets stuck in a week-long queue for auditing, then that's completely not helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they're going to implement the changes that will result in how successful the whole thing is. Like, it shouldn't be too big a problem. Just do things in advance by like a couple of days. Kickstarters are like a month long.
Yeah. The biggest thing about
I'm of the opinion that if you don't have a playable demo on your Kickstarter, then you shouldn't have a Kickstarter.
But doesn't that kind of go against the spirit of what Kickstarter is? It's to start things, you know. I agree. I mean, I can't cover something if there's nothing playable in very early alpha stage or whatnot, just because I'm a YouTuber. It's a video medium. That's just the nature of how it works. But I don't hold ill will against games that are on Kickstarter that are in conceptual stage only.
My argument against that is they've got no proof they can actually make what they're saying into a game, and if I'm going to give money to them, I'd like to see that it's doable.
Yes, that's very true, but that's like anything on Kickstarter. Even if it's physical goods, like, oh, we're going to make this whatever it is, they don't have them made yet, so it's just kind of.
Oh, they've usually got like a prototype.
Some
I
of them
don't know.
Some.
I only really look at games.
So that's definitely a gamble anytime you put money on a Kickstarter, and it's definitely helps you feel more secure when there is already something tangible there. I'm not saying it, but so I agree. Like, I agree on that. I generally never back a Kickstarter that's only in conceptual stage. But
Yeah.
I don't like tell people they're doing it wrong if they do back those games that aren't that don't have something playable yet. You know, I'm not going to outright say you shouldn't. It's your choice. Just know it's your gamble. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I
what's
guess I
that
agree
gonna
with that
mean?
too. I think most. I mean, if we ever were to do a Kickstarter for a game again, we would definitely have a playable build. But there are other people, you know, who sort of argue the opposite. Depending on the kind of game, I think some people feel like if you give out too much too soon, then it kills the excitement or the anticipation.
I'm not sure. I get more excited, honestly, for the most part. You know. If your game's almost finished and you're giving out almost a complete game during the Kickstarter, then you really shouldn't be on Kickstarter in the first place. So,
That's true.
but for anyone that knows the background, TeamTripleSlash, their game Magnetic by Nature, was successfully kickstarted. In fact, it was one of my first Kickstarter videos on my channel. So that Paige, I was looking at Pixel's picture and said she. He. I lost that entire train of thought now. Wait, no,
It's all good.
he's been through the entire Kickstarter thing, so yeah, talking from experience there. And it was kind of rough towards the end of the Magnetic by Nature. It was a pretty close finish for that Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, we were complete noobs when it came to Kickstarter. You know, a couple of us, we'd backed projects ourselves in the past, but like the whole process of actually doing it, we kind of didn't know what we were doing. So if we were to do it again, we'd do a lot of things differently.
Here's a secret: 90% of games and devs on Kickstarter are exactly the same.
I think that's true.
It is. I've talked to several of them. They're like, I have no idea what we're doing. It's money, make game. But that it's a crash course on what it is to be a PR person when you go on Kickstarter.
Yes.
For sure.
But we got onto Kickstarter when we were talking about the YouTube changes here. So the point that Ohmwrecker makes that I completely agree with is the networks are, one, trying to really kind of hide this. They're sending out messages about there's some changes coming, but they don't really go into detail about telling people what's happening. Every one of their videos is going to have to be audited. Some networks are a little more open about it. The problem here is that the only reason anyone joins one of these networks is for that benefit of not having to care about those stupid audits. That's the only reason. Like, they have some other things like, oh, this copyright-free music database and all kinds of other fluff, but we're getting on a very large chunk of our ad revenue, mainly for not having to care about audits and a lot of the copyright BS. And now that is going away for most people, and the networks are not lowering their cut and are not willing to let people out of their contracts, even though this is a extreme change of the benefit they give us. The only real benefit we get from being in a network, honestly. The other stuff is just fluff that I could very much take or leave. So, yeah, and this really should be a breach of contract and allow people out of their contracts if they choose, because this is drastically changing the service that the network is providing them, but networks are not willing to do that. Or drop down their percentage cut, which is a pretty big cut for them doing absolutely nothing for you.
Mm.
And Pixel just recently got networked up right before this hit the fan.
Yeah, it doesn't really bother me though. It's never bothered me. I mean, I've been doing this for 8 months, and I've never had an issue with like copyright or anything. But I only do indie games, so.
But now there's no point in being in a network. You can just partner directly with YouTube, get 100% of your ad revenue, and go through the same BS you would as an affiliate on a network. So it makes the network completely pointless if you're not a managed account, and it makes me want out of my contract to just monetize myself, because there's no point in being in that network anymore. But then, you know...
But they're still going to shield you from copyright infringement stuff, aren't they?
No, they don't really shield you from copyright infringement. They shield you from those audits for the automated copyright claims, the stuff through YouTube's automated system, because the audit system is half automated for the most part, and it'll be like, so sometimes you'll get flagged for stupid stuff because of your video getting audited. So you don't even get those audits in the network, so that's how they protect you. If you're a powerful YouTuber in a powerful network like Total Biscuit and Polaris, they will fight for you over BS copyright claims. Polaris has fought for Total Biscuit a couple times on that regard. If you're a small YouTuber in a network like RPM, like I'm in, if I get a bullshit copyright flag from a developer that just wants to censor my opinion, like has happened to Total Biscuit, they're not going to care whatsoever. They're not going to do anything for me. So, yeah, it makes networks kind of pointless. And this is a lot of networks' fault, too. They could give us the same benefit we used to have in the past by making every channel managed. But that's a responsibility they're not willing to take. They're willing to take just as much money from you as they always have, but they're not willing to do anything for that money. Like, literally, they do nothing for me.
But you've not heard anything from RPM. You haven't had a single email, right?
I've had an email from them about this stuff, saying that it's changing and to upload your videos days in advance.
I don't know. I don't know what they're planning. I can't tell until it happens.
In a way, it kind of sounds like a good thing to me, because it's forcing networks to have take more responsibility for the people they sign up, if they're making them a managed account at least, which kind of sounded good. But then they just had the option to give no one or almost no one a managed account. So
I wonder what this is going to mean for indie developers.
I don't know, and I don't know a lot of the details about this. A lot of people are talking about they're going to have to get every game they cover, the developer, to like explicitly agree to video making and monetization rights before they'll even cover the game, because of how anal YouTube is becoming about it with these audits. Every time your video gets audited, they'll probably ask you for that written permission.
What about you, Paige? What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, kind of like Fedora said at the beginning of the discussion, I'm not super well educated about how...
Trust me, neither am I.
But I would say that if that's something that has to happen, then indie developers will adapt and do it. But it doesn't make anything easier, you know? Like, that's just one more thing that you have to go through.
Yes, everything they've done lately is making it harder and harder on content producers and content creators, it seems. Instead of doing things like fixing sub boxes that have been broken for God knows how long. And
I've never encountered that.
Well, like going from unlisted to public, not showing up in half of your subscriber sub box. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So that's been broken for a very long time, actually. Probably before I even started YouTubing.
I think that they need to sort out this Google Plus bollocks before they move on to anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Everything they roll out is just making it harder for us. The Google Plus BS, and now this monetization BS. It's just like, apparently they don't want people to make videos, is all I can say.
I do it because I think it's fun.
Yeah, that's the main reason
I do it. And I love
games,
games, so I'm happy to carry on having fun playing games, and YouTube can fuck about as much as it wants to.
Yeah, up until recently you weren't even monetizing it at all, so you're not in it for the money.
That's probably why I'm not in it for the money, no.
I'm not either. The primary reason I created my channel was to help great indie games and indie developers get noticed. But would I like to be able to do it for a living? Yes. There's no shame in wanting to do something I love for a living.
I really agree with that. Like, I think most indie developers feel that way too, where it's like, you know, nobody goes into indie development for the money, because with very, very few exceptions, nobody gets rich doing this. But at the same time, everyone would like to be able to pay the bills, you know?
Exactly. And I've always kind of thought about that, where I'm sure a lot of indie devs have the same feeling as me when they're making indie games. They want to be able to do what they love for a living. That's what I would like to be able to do with my channel someday as well. So.
Right.
Indie devs and YouTubers actually have a lot in common. Like the hardest part about being an indie dev and the hardest part about being a YouTuber is getting noticed.
Right.
So there's a lot of comparisons there. The only difference is you guys have actual talent and we make shitty internet videos.
I don't know about that. I think
No, I can vouch
I think
for
there's
that.
definitely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She can. I mean, she put a video up of kangaroo balls. Okay.
Yeah, that was the kangaroo's testicles. That was some filming, directing talent in there.
It was hilarious. I
Had to
laughed so
stand in
hard.
just the right place to get the perspective where the balls looked as big as they possibly could be.
It's like being a porn cameraman.
Yeah, but for kangaroos.
Yes. With J. Smith
That does
involved.
require skill, right?
Well,
To your credit, those were some big balls.
really big balls.
That video is hilarious. I was like, oh, hey, video, what is this?
This is why I'm not so fussed about YouTube. I can upload videos of kangaroo balls.
That's the magic of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's my rant for today. It's like every week I have something to rant about when it comes to YouTube. The bad thing is, well, what I wish they would do, if they're doing this to us, they're getting super anal about the whole copyright stuff, is they then need to do more to protect the content creators from bullshit copyright claims as well. There has been many instances of developers copyright claiming videos to silence criticism, which was the last week or the week before I had a rant about that on this podcast. And the copyright claim system is mostly automated, and it's been used a great deal for excuse me, it's been used for abuse most of the time. I never hear of any legitimate uses of the copyright claim system. It is most of the time being used to attack or abuse people. So if they changed that to at least give the YouTubers some protection, to at least have a real person involved in these copyright claims that can destroy a person's channel, because you get 3 copyright strikes, your channel goes away, period. So, yeah, you're gone. You get 3 copyright strikes, your channel gets deleted. So,
Really?
yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah.
No.
Now, and see, when you're not monetizing, you can't really get a copyright strike if the video's not monetized, because they have no claim. Because the only real claim for copyright is that you're making money off of the content.
Well, I had an automatic one put on once, because a game by Alcave Games called Sepulture, I'm not sure if you've played it, they're really cool developers. They also did Richard and Alice. They've got a free game, and it has a sound clip of a copyright-free song, but someone has uploaded that to YouTube as a video, and YouTube recognised that the sound was the same and said, you can't use that sound, it's this song. And I'm like...
Content ID matching, and that wasn't accidental.
That's it. Is that different?
Yes, content ID matching is different. It won't get your account shut down, and that wasn't accidental. Someone intentionally uploaded that sound clip to the content ID system so they could intentionally take the monetization for every video using that. And that person...
Which is not good, because
and the person that probably did it probably didn't have the right to that sound in the first place. It was probably someone that goes... There's people that troll that, because it's an entirely automated system. And what it does is if it matches content on other videos for someone that's claimed they own that content, it will then monetize the video if it's not monetized, and that monetization goes to the person that put the content ID claim in. And it's an entire automated system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The artist that made that song is dead, so I can't imagine it's him.
Yeah, it wasn't. A lot of people try to scam that system. A lot of people do it quite effectively, actually, because that's another broken system. That's the main problem with most of YouTube systems. It's all automated, and there's no support from Google on any of it.
So, will these new changes not prevent stuff like that happening?
Probably not. The changes aren't really affecting the content ID match system. Also, to make the content ID match system worse is... I've heard of instances, I don't know if it happens every time, I guess it depends on the severity of what the person's claiming on the content ID side, but they can take the monetization from your channel for 6 months on every video on your channel. That apparently happened to
Even the ones that don't have that?
Yeah, apparently they'll just claim your channel and you can't fight it off until 6 months later. That apparently happened to Giant Bombs, Giant Bomb with one of their videos, if I remember correctly. Not sure.
That's
That
quite
system
funny.
I don't know as much about, but I've heard it being abused many times.
Where's the YouTube police when you need them?
That's
I
the
wish that
problem.
was a
There
thing.
isn't. It's all a computer. It's Skynet.
We should start that. And you have to wear a uniform. You sit at your computer all day, but you have to wear the YouTube police uniform. And you get a little hat.
Okay. I'm okay with hats. Okay, let's go to some other gaming news that's not me ranting about YouTube being broken. If it wasn't such a giant platform that has more potential than anything in existence, I would definitely drop it, but even Twitch doesn't get near the viewership that YouTube does, so unfortunately. So what else is there in news? Riot, the developers of League of Legends, someone leaked one of their contracts that's for their 2014 contracts for their on-payroll players. Riot sponsors a lot of their own players for the leagues and all the professional games. I don't remember the technical term for it, but the contract got leaked out. And remember, these people are on Riot's actual payroll. They're gamers playing League of Legends that are being sponsored by Riot themselves. And this contract got leaked, and it has extremely ridiculous stipulations in it against anyone that is signing this contract is not able to stream a giant list of games ever. On their off time, nothing. They cannot stream these games. Giant list of games, every Blizzard game, because including Hearthstone, which that's a giant competitor for MOBA, let me tell you. And then a lot of different MOBAs are on the list, which that one makes sense. You don't want your on-payroll League of Legends players playing Dota 2 on their streams. That makes sense, but a lot of these games on this list do not make sense. Fat Princess is on the list.
Eh?
That's a giant competitor for Riot, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's strange.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, and there's some games that do make sense to be on that list that aren't on the list. The list seems like it was made by a lawyer that only had a very vague idea what this was all about and just like picked a bunch of games. But it starts very foremost at the top, no Blizzard games, and then lists Blizzard games. It specifically says no Blizzard games, and then lists all Blizzard games just to make sure they have it clear, except for the new one, the MOBA the Blizzard's actually making. It doesn't list that, but it does say no Blizzard games, period. So I guess that encompasses that. But Heroes, what is the Blizzard's MOBA that's coming out that they're
Did
developing?
they play them in their own time?
Not
no one
on
can
stream.
really police that, can they?
Yeah, not on stream.
But they can't
Yeah.
broadcast it.
Yeah, can't broadcast it at all. And
That's
there's-
fair enough.
It's fair enough for the games that are actual competition for them, but Fat Princess, they can never stream Fat Princess. There's
But what if I want to stream Fat Princess?
yeah, and Warhammer.
What I do with most of my weekends. Have you guys not seen my Fat Princess marathons? 48 hours of Fat Princess goodness.
And they had a game on the list that doesn't exist anymore. It was Warhammer Online something. It was Warhammer's attempt at making a MOBA that closed down months ago. And that's on the list. There's an MMO. There's like 3 MMOs on the list, and one of them's an MMO that like 3 people play. Like it's an MMO I've never heard of.
Massive online multiplayer game.
It's
All 3 of us.
There's a bunch of crazy shit in there. The list is massive, missing a few major ones that you think would be on there that actually make sense, and a bunch of stuff that is batshit crazy and makes no sense. And part of this kind of stems from a lot of these high league players that are on Riot's payroll. When you get into a queue for the rank they're at, I don't remember the name of it. I don't know anything about League of Legends. It's a very specific, a very high tier league, and the points in that league matter. So when you queue up, it's not just picking up hundreds of thousands of random people. It's for a very select group. So their queues can last 20 minutes or more to wait for a game. So when they're live streaming that's not interesting to watch. So it's very common practice for those players to fire up another game and play while they're waiting for the queue. And Hearthstone is an extremely popular game to do that with because Hearthstone games are pretty quick. So you can play a couple of those and not risk having that game running still when your queue finally finishes. Well, apparently Riot didn't like that, so...
I can smell bacon. Are you cooking bacon?
I wish.
Sorry.
I want bacon.
I got really distracted by the concept of bacon.
Was that JSmith?
Yeah.
Hey, JSmith.
He lives with me.
Yeah.
He can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, you're a headset on, huh? Well, tell him we say hi.
He's making the bed.
He's making the bed. All right. So that hit the fan and got a lot of outcry, and they have actually then turned around and said they're going to change that policy. So that's a very good example of public outcry actually having an effect. You know, a lot of people were yelling about it, and that had an effect on it. I assume
So
that...
do you reckon we can riot against YouTube and change their naughty ways?
I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure Google doesn't actually have any humans. That's my honest opinion on it. It is entirely robotic and automated. That's why there's absolutely no support. Yeah. And they're all drunk when they come. Yeah, then they come to work drunk and make these changes.
Yeah, that's what I'd do.
It'd probably be better that way, actually. So that's a very good example of the community coming together and getting things done. I was actually quite impressed by that. Oh, was there anything else I think I had something else in mind for the news section, but I don't know. As a developer, what do you think about the whole Riot thing and that contract, Paige?
Well, I agree with what someone said in the chat, that most people don't read their contracts very carefully. And I mean, I don't know what it's like for a professional player, but I know that as an indie developer, like even somebody like us that doesn't have, you know, any big deals going down, you like still a lot of paperwork goes across your desk. And I bet it's probably exactly what you said, that it was put together by some lawyer who knew that there were certain legal bases they had to cover, but didn't really understand the material they were dealing with. And so they just sort of threw it together, and then everybody else signed it without, you know, very closely looking through it. And it probably, I guess what I'm saying is that it was probably an honest mistake, that it wasn't until it was leaked that people really looked at it and was like, well, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, hopefully the players that were signed that read it, otherwise they could accidentally stream that and literally get kicked out. That's the stipulation of it.
Right. No, and I do understand that. I just think that my experience has been that a lot of people don't pay attention to the rules until they get caught. On the other hand, I don't know. I don't know how Riot thinks, so it could be a part of some deeper design. But I also agree what you said, that it does seem like recently in the video game sphere, there's been a lot of instances of very large companies listening to fan backlash, or even just more polite feedback. And I think that overall that's a good thing.
It is. I mean, it happened. The story I talked about last week was the Indie Game Magazine thing and them charging for reviews.
Yes.
And that got changed. That person stepped down and left, and someone else took over, and that policy got removed. So that was another instance of massive backlash actually causing changes.
I read that if you actually bothered to read through the T's and C's of everything that you signed up to, you'd spend like a month of your life without sleeping.
I can imagine that.
These terms of service I agree to on a bunch of games, I've probably sold my soul to hundreds of people without knowing it. They can have it though. I don't need it. It's kind of useless. So yeah, no one reads those things, but when you're a pro gamer, I think they do, because there's a lot of very stipulations, not that extreme, but extreme stipulations are pretty common in pro gamer contracts, so I'm pretty sure they do read it. But most of those you can't even understand.
They leaked it for that purpose then, you know? Maybe they were like, this doesn't make any sense, and if the fans find out about it, maybe I'll be able to
I'm pretty sure that was the case.
What I want, yeah.
And there's been instances like rumblings of a couple last year of there being some pretty ridiculous stuff in Riot's contracts. So it's not a new thing, but this is the first time there's been a concrete leak, concrete evidence of it. So it might not be a very new thing in that regard, actually. They just might have added more games to it this year, like Hearthstone. Because, I don't know. League is the biggest in the Riot and League of Legends is the biggest thing in esports, period. Nothing else can even compare. And there was a video Toll Biscuit made about this entire subject. And there's a phrase he used that's very much describes it. Quit chasing the people you're ahead of. Like, it's good. They're the biggest in the market, and then they're all trying to do anything they can to hurt the people, to chase the people that are already behind them. I understand Dota 2 and other MOBAs, but the rest of it doesn't make any sense. But still, they're chasing people that are behind them. How insecure are they in their position? So that's the only one I can remember. I thought there was something else I wanted to talk about on the news section, but hell if I can remember. Anything interesting in the indie game news area, Pixel? I can't think of anything specific.
God knows. There's not really been much going on, is there? There was that VGX thing that was bollocks, but that wasn't really indie games. That was.
I saw a lot of tweeting about that. I never actually watched it, but I heard it was pretty terrible.
It was very strange.
Yeah.
It was one of the weirder things I've watched in my life.
And I heard a lot of people said it was extremely insulting to gamers in many instances.
Yeah, well, I think people take things quite personally when they don't need to.
Good point.
But it wasn't entertaining.
I heard a lot of bad stuff.
That was my main criticism. Is it was a show that was supposed to be for entertainment, and it didn't entertain.
I heard a lot. I didn't see any positive tweets about it. I'll just say that. Did you watch it, Paige?
I did not, and you know what? I guess I felt I used to watch the Spike Video Game Awards back in the day, and I never felt that they were very entertaining. So this time around, it didn't even come on for me.
Yeah, I don't tend to watch much of that stuff, but apparently a lot of people do that were tweeting angrily about it, which was quite amusing. I think the tweeting about it was more amusing than the show itself.
Actual show itself, yeah, for sure.
And
that's why I love Twitter.
There's MagFest.
A community dedicated. Go on, sorry.
Sorry, MagFest. That's coming up soon. I remember tweets about that. It's another great convention that I'm too poor to go to. So.
Yeah, same here.
MagFest.
Where is it?
I have no idea. Sloth, you're in chat. Where's MagFest? You were talking about earlier.
What continent is it in? Would be a good start.
In America.
It's in the eastern United States. Most of my team would really love to be there, but we're all too poor this year also.
It's best to save up
music
for
and
PAX.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes, that's correct. I forgot about that.
Mid-Atlantic Gaming Festival.
It is 5 miles from Slothborn's house, which is southern Maryland, basically DC. Though.
That doesn't tell us anything apart from
it's basically
West
DC.
Still.
You lucky bastard living near this cool stuff. When is it, Sloth?
Zelda Adventure Time?
Huh?
It's Adventure Time, but it's also the Zelda Land.
I'm confused.
And Pen is Link, and the dog is a Moblin.
That's kind of terrifying.
It's the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Oh wow. Why aren't we going to this? Apart from the fact that it's 28 hours away.
Yes.
Via the fastest transportation.
Yeah, Australia's a long way from everything, is the unfortunate part.
Yeah, Australian people don't tend to go on foreign holidays because it costs too much fucking money.
Everything costs too much money there. The internet's ridiculous.
Yeah, the internet is insane. National Harbour MD. Maryland.
Maybe some year I'll be able to go to all those cool events. At least I live in the same country they're in. So.
Oh, if I lived in the same country, I'd be all over it. There's a bunch of stuff happens in the UK. And it doesn't really matter where it is in England because everything's drivable there.
Yeah, there's PAX Australia.
Yeah, that right. So PAX is supposed to be once a year, right?
There's 3 PAXs in America, so there's PAX East,
I
PAX
mean, like
Prime.
each one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like PAX Oz happened before I arrived. I'm here for a whole year, and the next one is after I leave.
Good timing. Well done.
Yeah.
Great planning.
Fuck you, PAX Oz.
Well,
And
that
it's just up the road as well. Oh no, wait, it's in Melbourne, I think.
yeah, just up the road
not
is
up
like
the road.
500 miles there, right?
Yeah, well, Sydney's just up the road, and that is exactly 500 miles away. It's like 800 kilometers.
That's not just up the road
That's
by
like
my
a short
standards.
journey. Well, no, like Perth's not just up the road. That's yeah. It's like the
Way
most
over the
isolated city on the planet.
There's a
It's
lot of
closer to
isolation
Asia
in.
than it is to Australia's capital.
See, Australia has a lot of like the coasts have civilization, which is still kind of spread out, and the middle is just like no man's land, unexplored death territory, right?
There's a city called Alice Springs right in the middle,
Oh, they
and
actually
there's the
ventured
big
that
rock
far.
that everyone recognizes. Yeah, it's like a full civilization. It's like a city right in the middle. What's that rock? Ayers Rock. That's oak that ran there as well. I've put Ayers Rocks in. You'd understand. It's called Uluru. You'd recognise it if you saw it. Don't laugh.
It's called
There
what?
is Rock, you got Uru.
No, it's the same thing.
I know, that's funny that they have such drastic different names.
Oh, it's the Aboriginal name. Sorry. Carry on.
Ah, well, I think that will be it for gaming news. It's always bad stuff. Why is it always bad stuff? Can we have good gaming news some week, please? Like, I don't know. What? There's been no good gaming news.
I really like games.
Yeah, games are good.
Just like gaming
The news
games.
isn't, but the games are.
I like playing them. Geography with a pixel.
I would hope so, since, you know, you do the whole YouTube for games thing. So we'll go ahead and get right into the game spotlight. We're looking at Magnetic by Nature, which Paige is part of TeamTripleSlash, which is a considerably larger indie dev team than I usually have contact with. It's a 10-person team last time I knew, unless you guys have brought some more on since then.
So we've got 10 sort of founding members, and then there's a couple of people we've worked with kind of like contracting, except that nobody's getting paid yet. But yeah, and we are weird for being that large. Like none of the other teams that we've interacted with either online or in real life are that big either. So there's some advantages and some disadvantages to having a larger team, but that's us.
There's advantages and disadvantages to a small team as well, so, you know, there's no
Yes.
such thing as a perfect size. There really isn't. And we're going to start the game up now, and hopefully it doesn't blow everyone's eardrums before I get the audio levels adjusted here.
Are you actually playing it on the stream?
Yes,
Sweet! It's so good.
it is. It's wonderful.
It's very addicting.
Yeah, it makes me happy to hear.
Yeah. I opened it up to see what it was all about, and then I was like, oh, I'm on level 20. Oh, I'm still going. It's the atmosphere and particularly the soundtrack reminds me a lot of Portal.
That's interesting to hear you say that. We've been thinking of Portal from a mechanical perspective, but I don't know that anybody was thinking about especially the Portal soundtrack. So
Well,
we
it's
must have
just
stumbled
that
on
they're like definitely the music, but then just the whole feel of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just it kind of felt very reminiscent of that to me. I really enjoyed it, and I do like the mechanic. It's intuitive. It's very easy to get to grips with. There was no, there's no progression where you're like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing here. It's just a matter of manipulating it in the right timing and the way to progress.
It is a very, best way to put it is easy to learn, difficult to master type of controls. It's very easy to pick up. I mean, you're only using the thumbstick, one button, and the two shoulder buttons. So control-wise, it's extremely simple. In a good way, not in a negative way, that's for sure. This opening animation is pretty wonderful.
Oh, thank you. It's still rough around the edges in some places, but yeah, we've put a lot of time into that.
How long does it take to make something like that? I've not got any experience with the Unity engine.
So Unity is kind of amazing. Like,
I do like Unity a lot.
Yeah, I was really blown away because we switched to Unity like halfway through the project because we were previously doing a version with XNA for Xbox Live Indie, and when we switched to Unity, everything became so much easier. That being the case, this is still, you're looking at about 14 months of work total right now. So
What just the intro or including the gameplay?
oh no, for the whole production of the game. Yeah. One thing we spent a lot of time on was the controls. When we first started, it was not easy to pick up and play.
For anyone
Well,
that
in what sense? Sorry.
That's all right.
What was hard about it when you started? What, like the mechanics challenges?
So we kind of came from it from this perspective of like we wanted you to be able to target individual magnets and sort of select what you wanted to do with them, and we had much more complex puzzles as a result. But it was the kind of thing where once we started playtesting it, there would always be like these handful of like really hardcore gamers who would love it, and then almost everyone else would have no idea what they were doing. So
doing that in the air sounds like it would be really difficult.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was too much to do all at once, you know. So we had to go through a lot of different revisions, and we finally settled on something that I think allows a good amount of control, but you don't need two brains to make it work.
No, yeah, exactly.
I quite enjoy this game. I played its very early alpha for, as I said, that was one of my first Kickstarter videos. Oh, I'm messing up this level too, and it has come quite a long way since then. I just got this a few days ago.
The momentum of the physics of it.
It feels a little different, but definitely the same. And many of these levels were in that, but the art style has definitely refined, which is one of the standout features of this game, in my opinion. Is I love the Art Deco aesthetic. It is quite amazing. I fell in love with it. I didn't even know I liked Art Deco art style, but I do now after discovering this game. And for everyone watching, the premise of this is you're this robot, and you have the power of magnetism. The trigger is on Xbox 360 controller, which is how I'm playing. I don't know if there's even keyboard controls in this early alpha. But one trigger does repel, one trigger does attract, and you use that to traverse the levels, and it gets a lot more complex than it actually sounds. These different points here, red ones, or orange ones I guess, you can only repel from, blue ones you can only attract to, and then there's ones like this one here that is both. You can use it for both of those. I gotta fall back down here and get my momentum going again.
It's like Portal with magnets.
It is.
That's exactly what we were thinking. That was like one of the things in our heads. We wanted to make like a 2D Portal with magnets. Yeah.
I love that level, just the one that Fedora's just done. I really enjoyed that one.
The rocket launching part?
Yeah. I always thought of it like a slingshot.
Yes, very much. It very much has a slingshot feel in a lot of the physics of the game, which is very satisfying when you get perfect shots, you know, when you line up and do exactly what you want to. This level specifically, I don't know what's really satisfying about it, but doing this magnetic around a corner up onto a higher platform is just really satisfying to do. Just it just feels really smooth and really fun, and I failed at it. Let's do that again. I never said I was good at this game. And then you just go up around a corner, and that is so much fun for some reason. I don't know why, but it is. There was no levels like that in the demo I played during the Kickstarter, or at least that I could actually get to. It gets real hard later on. These early levels are pretty much just teaching you the game. Okay, I kind of messed this up. Ooh. Okay, I salvaged it. There we go.
Nice. Good one.
Is there going to be much of a narrative, or is it going to be kind of more, picture-based narrative? Ooh.
Yeah, it's picture-based. There is a story, but it's a very simple story. We kind of just, even though we are a larger team, we're still, having to work kind of in our free time. So we had to pick and choose our battles, and we felt like the things that were most important to us in this was having like really slick controls, so you could really get what we wanted out of the mechanics, and then just having a neat art style and good music. So there is a story, but it's in the background.
Yeah. And what kind of extra mechanics are you planning to add later on?
So there's a couple of things that show up in later levels. We've got like certain walls that magnets can pass through, but the robot cannot. And then the reverse, there's other walls that the robot can pass through, but magnets cannot. And there's we've seen a couple so far of these little rolly magnets, but early on they're kind of locked in these tracks. Later on, you can kind of grab them and take them around the level with you. And so there's a lot of different things you can do once you have access to those. And then we've got, we're hoping to do like a sort of bonus expansion areas that would be as like downloadable content. And for those, we've got like lots of different kinds of magnets, like the big heavy blocks that you can push. I don't know for sure that we're going to get that far, but that's our plan.
Sweet. And are you self-publishing, or are you going to be aiming to release on Steam or?
We would love to be
or-
on Steam. That's our goal. Yeah.
There's
Okay.
the universe.
I finally
Isn't
beat
it?
that level. I knew have beat it before. I knew I could do it again.
That one does look tough. But you kind of
Oh.
got to get the momentum right first time, haven't you? Otherwise, you end up.
This level's pretty
Oh, dear.
dastardly.
Yeah, this one I think might actually need some adjustment.
I got through the second try, actually. Just gotta be real careful and tap
That's-
the
yeah,
attract
yeah.
and don't lay on it, you know. Just gotta be really really sparing with your attract there, otherwise you'll just go flying right into the blade ceiling of death. This one's tough because that thing moves.
It moves.
Yes, so I should not try to just launch to it and kind of plan
Oh
this.
yeah. That's clever.
There we go. Oh
How
no,
did you
no!
how did you guys come up with the idea for this? Was it kind of we want to make something like this, this, and this, and you used your inspiration to?
So there's kind of a funny story behind that. The guy on our team that pitched the original idea, he was working on this other like game idea that he'd had for months. And he told me he'd been pacing back and forth in his kitchen because he was like, I've got this wonderful idea, but I don't know, like there were things about it he just couldn't get right in his head. And at one point he just kind of like stopped and he looked at his refrigerator and there were a bunch of like magnets on it. He was just sort of playing around with them. And then it like came to him in a flash. And he was like, I'm gonna make this game with magnets and it's gonna be great.
He was right. It is great.
Yeah, no, it was a brilliant idea, but it's also like changed a lot since the original pitch. It was much more complicated when we first started it, and like the robot was gonna be able to like disconnect different parts of his body and do things like that. But once we started having players play it, everyone was like, "Well, you shouldn't bother with that. The magnets are the fun part." So.
It's good that
Player
you took
feedback's really important.
player feedback. Yeah, for sure.
This actually started as a student project, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
I hope you guys got an A for that because it was amazing.
Yeah, I think our professors were all very pleased with us. So.
Oh, this
What were
is
you
terrible.
studying?
So the team was kind of a bunch. We were all from different backgrounds, but for various reasons, we'd all decided to take this class. Where it was sort of a senior project where you do video game development. It's a like, year-long class. But once we started working with each other, we were like, wow, we really like this team. We feel like we could do something more than just a school project.
You had a good dynamic together.
Yeah, very much so.
Did that help the kind of idea process? You know, the
Yeah,
creation
I think.
of the game.
You know, it's always like a learning process, especially when you're working with a large group of other people. But the fact that we liked each other definitely helps because there's been some sleepless nights and some heated conversations. And if we hadn't been, you know, on friendly terms, then things could have gone badly.
Yeah, I think it's really important. You kind of end up as more of a family, don't you, from what I've understood from other
Yeah.
developers.
Speaking of the team, we should give all of them credit if you want to go ahead and list off everyone that is in the TeamTripleSlash.
Sure, totally. So John was the original game designer. He's the one who came up with the idea. And Jonathan Humphreys is his name. Kyle Chittenden acts as our producer. He's also the 3D animator, so he did the animations on the little robot character and some other characters that aren't in this build. Diana No has done the 2D animations, which also aren't in this build, but later versions of the game will have different moving things in the background. Then we have Becky Pennock, who's been the art lead, and she kind of came up with the idea of the Art Deco inspiration and the overall style, the visual style. And Evan Monroe has been doing the environmental animations, so most of the work that you see in the background is his stuff. And then there's David Hurst has done a lot of the work on the engine in terms of programming. Andrew Jones, an amazing coder, we're very fortunate to have created our level editor for us, which was an ongoing battle, let's say. And then we've had a 3-person team, Corey Haltner, Diana No, and Brendan Wanlass, who have sort of spearheaded the level design. Everybody's put bits and pieces into the levels, but they're sort of the core level developers. And then I also worked on the scripting engine early on in the game and some other programming here or there. And since then, I've kind of taken over a more like PR and business side of development now that we're getting closer to the release. I think that's everything.
I love the colors in this stage.
And these stages are showing off a different mechanic where there are these walls that the robot can go through, but the magnetic points,
Ball can't.
the balls can't.
Yeah.
Do you guys have an official name for these things?
We just call them magnet walls.
Okay. I was wondering if there's some fancy name for them, you know?
Yeah,
Nope.
we probably should have, but one of the things we wanted to do is have the smallest amount of text possible in the game, because we
That
felt
is
like this
not
would
much.
play better with small interface. So yeah, we don't really have fancy names for a lot of stuff.
Huh, this level is very interesting. Come on. Ah, just trying to get up there. There's some way to do this, I'm sure, that I'm not figuring out yet, but...
One of the other design goals we had is we kind of made the game with speed running in mind. So most of the levels have more than one way through them. There's kind of like the easier, more obvious solution, and then there's like the trickier but much faster solution. So people that are into that hopefully will find quick ways to get through and impress their friends.
I
That
will
must
probably
really
not be that
difficult to
person.
integrate.
Yeah, I won't be either.
Dang it. This level.
It's a bit fascinating to watch, to be honest.
I love this game. I've loved it ever since the early build. It's actually, this game already exists in the real world. A very earlier version of it is on Xbox Live Arcade, Indie Arcade, correct?
That's right, yeah. And it is a much earlier version of the game.
Pretty cool. Well, what challenges have you faced with a big development team that you think like maybe a very small team of like 2 or 3 people might not encounter?
So probably the biggest one is communication. Like it's when there's so many people that need to know what's going on, it's trickier to make sure everyone's on the same page. And another thing, like it hasn't been an issue for us so far, but at some point it's gonna be an issue. Like you were saying earlier, like one day we'd really like to be doing this as our full-time job. And when you've got 10 mouths to feed instead of 2, it's harder to make the ends meet.
Exactly.
Yeah, make the
So
money go
those are
round.
probably-
So everyone needs to buy 100 copies of this once it comes out, just saying.
Yeah, that works for me.
Do you have any advice for this level that is completely kicking my ass right now?
So I think if you just stand right where you are and rappel, you'll be able to get up there.
Yes, because this does both. What the hell is wrong with me? I should have figured that out quite easily. That's... okay, I'm just being an idiot, so... Oh.
You're so
There you
used
go.
to like mixing and matching the mechanics though by this point. Sometimes it's difficult to integrate simplicity again.
Yeah, it was quite simpler than levels I was doing earlier. And I think that's what was messing with me. This is still the levels that are introducing that wall mechanic is what the point of it was.
Yeah, you don't go backwards often in difficulty, so you do get taken a bit by surprise.
Now this one's getting a little more interesting. We got a ball maze to go through here.
Ooh,
Okay,
that's
up.
interesting.
There we go.
Are you repelling again?
I got it.
You're so repelling.
Huh? Might be true, but...
Magnet jokes.
Oh wow, now this is a real ball maze. This is crazy.
Oh, that looks like fun. I like Kazra's comment. I really just want to fly from magnet to magnet. It looks fantastic. Kind of like Spider-Man.
It does. Just the
It's really
swinging
fun.
around is really satisfying.
Yeah, the gameplay is really smooth.
Go up there, please. There we go. I might not defeat this level. Just saying. Oh, I
Is it
pulled it
getting
back
too
out of
much
there.
for you?
Potentially, yes. Up you go. No, it's not working. Trying to get up on top of this platform just so I can get a better vantage point to the ball maze. You gotta definitely keep in mind the range limits of the magnetism.
Yeah, one thing that some people have told us is they'd really like to be able to see that range. So we're working on, if we can find a good way to do that, we'd love to have like an overlay. But so far everything we've tried has kind of hurt more than it's helped.
Yeah, that would be difficult to integrate because you don't want to crowd the screen.
Yeah, it definitely
Right.
kind of hurt the aesthetic, honestly, I think.
You should just intuitively know how big the magnet's reach is. Like in the same way that if you play Spelunky enough, you kind of get a ghost internal timer.
Right.
Good way of putting it, the ghost timer.
Yeah, you just kind of know when he's coming.
This level. I love this game, but I'm terrible at it. I'm just going to warn everybody that.
Well, if you really get stuck, you should be able to hit L on the keyboard and it should skip you to the next level.
Ah, cheats.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't do what I wanted it to. I'm assuming that needs to be up in that corner, but how do you get up on this thing?
So I think if you grab and then repel, and so yeah, on the left side, I don't know, it's hard to express in words.
I got it. Thank you. That helped. I was trying to get on top of that thing when I really just need to get use it to launch over to this. Okay, come this way, please. Thank you. This ball maze is pretty brilliant. There we go. Didn't need no cheats. I got it.
Excellent.
Is the cheat mechanic going to stay in the game when you release it, or are you going to
No,
take that out?
that's strictly there because
Press are terrible at games. That's why.
well, more like the game still isn't done, so it's probably broken in places. But you know, maybe
kind
we'll
of a
leave it
get
in
out
as some
clause.
secret you can activate.
Ooh. Ah, this level's cool. Anyone that lets me swing around more is the levels I really enjoy.
Yeah, we really wanted it to be mostly about momentum, like sort of platforming without platforms almost, where you're just like shooting through the air a lot of the time.
That is a very good way to put it. Platforming without platforms.
And it gets more like that as the game goes along.
Aha, I made it. The non-form platformer. I like that. That was the wrong button also.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I'm the worst player on the team for our own game.
Do you have like little competitions?
Yeah,
Do you
sometimes
do
we'll do
speed
like...
runs of it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I always lose.
You don't have to be good
I
at games
suppose
to make good games. We'll just say that. Oh, that was
The
wrong.
developers would be there. You did some of the coding, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. And I mean, really, it's like, there's other games that I'm good at. This just isn't the exact kind that I usually play.
Ah, damn it. I was
What's
doing
your
so well.
favorite type of game?
I really, really like sort of platform RPGs, kind of, or Metroidvanias, as people put them.
Metroidvanias.
I do love a good Metroidvania. Oh, no. Dang, this level's nasty. Lots of death blades here. Ah, I timed that wrong. This game is very much about timing. Very much is about timing, which I'm apparently
Yes.
pretty terrible at. No, I almost did the same thing again, but I saved myself there. This level's pretty cool, the whole falling down thing. Falling down without dying. Ooh, haha, made it. Sometimes you gotta be real light on your magnetic abilities, just a little tap real quick.
Yes, that's actually really key. That's something maybe we need to find a better way to communicate to people.
So once that momentum gets going, it's hard to, this level's also extremely difficult. For me. Probably not for
I think
anyone
that's going to be a
else.
recurring theme from about this stage in the game, isn't it?
Yes.
Each level is going to be increasingly challenging. Is it finished yet?
It's very close, not quite. We actually just, yesterday, we kind of had this giant work party. And most of the levels are done, and most of the art is done, and most of the sound is done, but there's like a lot of little things. There's still some bugs we have to get out, like the menus aren't really the way we want them. But we're hoping to release before the end of the year. And we've got less than a month left, so...
Oh, it's definitely a crunch time.
Yeah, we're firing on all cylinders.
I thank you for taking time out of that to join us on the podcast.
No, I'm really happy
Yeah.
to. I enjoy both of you guys' podcasts, so this is kind of a cool opportunity.
Ooh, this is tricky. Ah! Dead.
Girthquake, who has an incredible Twitch handle, says that speedrunners need these magnetic balls. I'm completely with that. It's
That
like
would be amazing.
the smoothness of the what are those things called that you swing around on in speedrunners?
The grapples.
Grapples. It's like that mechanic, but without the limitations.
And without a safety net of the line. Aha, okay. I just got one more to get through here.
It's very attractive.
Terrible puns. No, I got more than one to get through. Oh.
There's really only 2 magnet puns.
Oh no!
Oh, it's so close.
Ah!
Oh, I just flung that ball like 100 miles an hour where I don't want it to be.
I hope you all appreciate my Australian ping there. Everybody was like morning, and 5 minutes later I'm like, no!
Got it. Aha! I beat it. I have defeated. This is the last level of the game. Clearly, that was the hardest level ever made. So, oh, it's not. This seems interesting. Oh.
I have a magnetic personality. Well done, Slothborn.
Slothborn with the puns. Uh-oh. Now.
Push! Pull! No! That looked like you could stand on it.
No, it was just death.
The big ancient structures, what was your inspiration for those? Some of them look like a New York cityscape, and others of them look like kind of almost MC Escher-esque type
So the original inspiration was actually the Chrysler Building. So you're on the right track with New York. The artists.
Art Deco.
Yeah, because of the Art Deco thing. That's why they picked it. But then they kind of gave that to Evan and said, okay, now go crazy. I like what he's done with it so far.
I got pause for a drink here. My controller's actually getting a little sweaty from me gripping this thing so hard. I did not die as much. This is interesting. Cool, it's like skydiving. Okay, now I shouldn't have messed around with the ball so much. Now I can't get out of there. Oh, alright. Not sure. Okay, well, yeah. There's no... Never mind. Oh, that's bad. I can't go on that wall. Only the ball can. That platform there is not for me. Gotta remember that.
You've got to keep a lot in mind, haven't you, by this point in the game?
Considerably, yeah. And remember that I can't walk on those things only the balls can. Oh, I need the ball. Ooh, it almost pulled me in. Okay. There's a lot of reusing the same magnet ball. Bringing it with you.
Yeah.
It's your companion cube.
Later on, there's levels where there's like tons of them, and there's sort of different interesting things you can do when you have more than one. But we wanted to introduce it in steps, kind of.
I keep knocking.
Can if I make a video of the game, can I have a plushie based on the robot thing?
We would love to do that. We actually made and gave out plushies of the magnets. But yeah, we would love to make plushies of the robot. We'll have to
What's his name?
get someone to do that for us. The robot doesn't have a name yet, actually.
Might want to get on that.
You should name him after me.
Should name it what?
After me. I've decided.
Yeah, totally.
Or just something really random like Ben.
It's Bob. Bob the robot. Or find the word for magnet in other languages. It sounds cool.
Johnson. What was the name of that you gave the platypus that we were going to have as a pet?
I forget.
Yeah, it was the best name in the world.
What?
You're gonna have a platypus? What?
But we went. Me and Josh are like, and by Josh I mean JsmithOTI, are reasonably obsessed with animals. So
Not
he's
just
been in
kangaroo
Australia
balls.
for like. No, not just kangaroo balls. He's been in Australia for like a month. I think we've been to 3 zoos and 2 aquariums.
Were you gonna name the platypus Perry?
We decided that we were going to have a pet platypus.
That would
They're
actually
really
be a wonderful
cute.
pet. They are
They're
ridiculously.
the most cutest things.
They're such a ridiculous animal. You can't help but love them.
Yeah, it seems like the awesomest pet ever.
They're just
Besides a
solid
sloth, a sloth would be a better pet.
Sloths have like really big claws.
Yeah.
Sloths are weird. Thanks for that contribution, Josh.
Mention to Josh that we have a sloth in the chat now, so he just insulted our sloth. We all love Slothborn.
Our resident sloth. Slothborn is a regular on.
On everything. Slothborn is omnipresent.
Slashes wildly.
Oh, I see someone in the chat asked if it was designed with the thought that someone used the controller, and the answer is no. We've tried to make it so that you can play just as well with a mouse and keyboard as you can with the controller.
There isn't a whole lot of buttons involved, so I'm sure it would work. But I would definitely recommend controller if you have it.
Controller works best for me, but
I know that you're trying. I mean, I tried with the mouse and keyboard, and I don't know. I think that it would be really difficult because sometimes you've got to be moving left and right at the same time as.
Yeah.
So presumably you're using right click and left click as the.
Right and left is for attract and repel, and then you can use either the arrow keys or WASD to move, and then spacebar to jump.
This level doesn't seem like it should be as hard as it is.
It may need tweaking. What we'd really like is for the first 2 zones to not be that difficult, and then the game after that point to get more challenging.
This saw bump down here gives me so many issues for no apparent reason because I've made it past such things before. There we go. I got
One of
past
those
it.
ones where you've got to take it really like gently, haven't you?
Oh, hey, there's a saw there. God damn it! I thought I was
Oh,
home
no,
Oh
free.
no, yeah, that's totally not fair. That would be a good thing that we should probably tweak.
I didn't even pay attention that there was a saw there, and I just kind of grazed it, and that was horrible.
Just like IRL.
I got too comfortable. I got cocky and thought that was a terrible idea. But I got cocky and thought I had beat it, and I was home free, and I wasn't. Okay, I will beat it this time.
I like that in the background there's a big structure that kind of looks like a robot. And it's kind of waving at you.
So storyline-wise, what is the actual story of this game?
So the idea is that there's kind of like this robot civilization, and there's been some catastrophe that's happened, and most of the robots have been wiped out. And so like there's places in the games where there are like robots in the background that you can see that are deactivated, and
That explains the opening cutscene.
right. And so like one thing that isn't in this version of the game right now is that the robot early on discovers, like that guy in the opening cutscene, some robots that are still functional but aren't powered up. And so the flowers that you're collecting are like the robot's power source.
Oh, I did it again. God damn it. I'm going to beat this level before we stop playing this. I swear to God.
You're really close.
It's gotta be careful of that last blade.
Yeah, don't
Sneaky,
put your
it's a
face in a
sneaky blade.
circular saw.
Yes, that last blade is real sneaky.
Avoid applying makeup with
Hug the
an
wall,
active
hug the wall.
motorized saw.
Please- Oh, it's not over. No, this isn't the end. I can still die. Oh, it is the end. Okay. Okay, I beat that one. I'm going to attempt this one now, see what happens. This looks curious. Am I supposed to take it? I don't know. Oh, hey, that's actually kind of easy, I think.
Don't say things like that.
Famous last words.
Yeah, this
Those are
one's not bad.
terrible
It's a very
things to
interesting use of the mechanics, though. That's what I like. It's like each level... What just happened? Anyway, it seems like each level is just more and more innovative and interesting ways of using what seems like a very simple mechanic.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. Hopefully, like the first two zones would be to introduce a lot of different ideas, and then the later two would be kind of like, these are all the crazy things that we can think of to do with it. When you said like what just happened, that's an example of a known bug. Every once in a while, when you're on the magnet walls like that, it'll just shoot you off in a direction. That's something we really have to fix.
Yeah, especially when it shoots you off. It's trying to do it, I think.
You can just let it go. Can you not just let go of it?
No, it's trying to stabilize for a landing because it's a very small island you have to land on right there. But that bug seems more prominent in this level than any other levels. I'm let go of it now. Okay, I landed it. But it was like pulling me one way. I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Ooh. This is interesting.
I like the fact that you've just got the, like, some games will just keep adding new mechanics so that you don't remember what everything does by the end. And I much prefer the fact that you've just got this very simple concept, but you're doing lots of different things with it to try and challenge us into thinking in new ways.
Exactly.
I
Kind of like
really agree with
Deaths.
that. Like, I hate playing a game where they introduce some mechanic and you're like, this is awesome, and then you play it twice and then you never see it again. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Or when
Yeah,
there's
like-
so many different ones going on that you just can't
right.
get your head around what you're supposed to be doing, because obviously the developers know it really well, but as the player, you're like, you just introduced this to me like 5 seconds ago. And I'm
Right.
supposed to integrate with 10 other things. I don't know. Whereas it's nice when it's just like, this is the one, or these are the few things that we're going to use, but we're going to challenge you to use them in so many different ways that you never would have considered possible.
Something we'd really love to do, if we're able to, is to get the level editor polished to the point where other people could use it. Because I'm sure like players would come up with things to do with these tools that none of us have ever thought of.
I'm always a big advocate for user-generated content.
Yeah.
There's
Try
nothing better.
pulling and then repelling it.
I got it. Just being a little
The other
iffy.
way.
You're on stream delay. Yay for stream delays. Okay, now to get a good slingshot going here. Oop, nope. Now I just shove the balls out of their holes. Don't take that out of context.
You shove the balls!
Go into your hole. Go. It's your home. You too good for your. I'm messing up that quote completely. I'm just butchered that.
Happy Gilmore!
Yes,
We watched
but
that the other day.
I completely butchered that quote. That was
I
disgraceful.
understood.
Yeah, it was still
Wants to go
recognized.
home.
I'm not getting. I don't think it doesn't feel like I can get enough height out of this.
Get hype.
So, Luke Hazara asked if we're going to do level packs. Yes, we're definitely going to do level packs. And then Girthquake suggested where you could zoom out and see the whole level. That's also something we're probably going to do.
Girthquake's been very good at
Good questions.
yeah.
Good comments.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I may have missed a few that went by.
And I'm sorry, I don't pay attention at all to chat when I'm playing the game. I'm bad
Yeah,
at
it's
that.
just
I don't know how
so
streamers do it. It is. It's hard enough to talk to myself when recording a video and playing a game, let alone like actually engage with living things.
I think talking and gaming at the same time is just about as much as most people can handle. Also interacting with the audience in chat, like you have to be someone with a very special skill set to manage all three of those at the same time.
I'm
Because I've only
endlessly
seen a few
impressed by
people managing
streamers. Yeah, like Tenchi, he's real good at it.
Alpaca Patrol's pretty amazing at it.
It's
But then
a talent.
he's got an ability to talk in a way I've not seen anybody else. He should be like a game show host.
He does kind of have that feel, doesn't he? Okay, is there a trick to get enough height out of this?
So the closer you are when you repel, the stronger that they'll shoot you. But
So
beyond that,
repel-
no.
Okay, I see. Sort of like repel when I'm just above the midway between them kind of thing. That's still not helping. I'll just...
Yeah, it almost looks undoable, and I'm sure it's not. But
Alright, well, I think that's about all the time we have for playing Magnetic by Nature.
cool, that's cool.
Go ahead and drop a link into the chat here of where people can get more information on this. It will be out in the near future.
I really look forward to it. Do
So
you mind
do
if
I.
I do a feature on it?
That'd be wonderful.
Sweet.
I'll be
I
honest,
don't know how
that
it's
was my
fell under my
hope.
radar.
That was my hope when I brought this game on this podcast, is that you would pick it up as well, because I have a spot in my heart for TeamTripleSlash and their game, because I was really just barely starting out. I had like 30 subs, and I contacted them on Kickstarter because I was starting up this Kickstarter series, and it was a game that looked really interesting, but there was nothing publicly playable. And I contacted them expecting to get ignored, and they were extremely respectful and kind to me, even though I was a small YouTuber at that time. And because of that, I really adore them.
Well, the feeling's totally mutual because we also came out of nowhere. Most of us had never done any game, anything before, so we were very happy that someone was interested.
And even though I was a small
I'm
YouTuber,
sorry I missed it.
Missed what?
The Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know who you were back then, actually, Pixel. It was only a
When was it?
Last April is when it ended, yeah.
Last April is in April 2013.
Yes. Is that right? No, that can't be right. It must have been 2012, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was a year before I was YouTubing, so.
It was no, I don't think I've been YouTubing that long. I started YouTubing sometime in 2013, so it had to be this year.
Okay, I guess, yeah, maybe it was then.
Okay.
It's all one giant blur to me.
Yeah. I could actually just go look up.
Can't believe it's December.
Yeah, I know. Where'd this year go? And everybody's talking about Game of the Year. I'm like, oh god, I should probably do a video about something like that, right? Like my 5 top indie games for the year. Just like, I'm lazy. I don't know if I want to.
140, easily done. Boom. Good night.
But yeah,
140 is probably the best game.
when Pixel agreed to be
I've
on this
played it in a really
podcast
long
with
time.
me, I was like, what devs do I know that have a game that I think Pixel would like? She likes platformers and she likes really cool art styles. Magnetic by
You
nature.
chose well.
It was a good choice.
I've drawn Ben from the game, i.e. the robot,
Ben.
and I've given him a little beard.
Wait, what? Link it. Drop that in chat.
Oh, it's just in paint right now.
Oh, your paint drawings are amazing though. Like the
Yeah, that's
exotics
true.
one, that was
Oh,
something.
no, that one. Oh, what, of him draw me like one of your French girls?
Yes.
Did he pose like it in the end?
He hasn't got around to it yet. Unfortunately, his house got foreclosed on, and that's why he's no longer on the podcast with me until his living situation gets sorted out. So
Oh.
he found that out shortly after that stream was going to raise money to get him new computers because his computer crapped out, which is when Pixel drew that amazing picture. And then shortly after that, you found out that his house was getting foreclosed on. Very
That's
unfortunate
nice.
situation for him, yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible chain of events.
He's not on the streets right now. They're living with friends or relatives or something, but it's not a great situation. Okay, I did the Kickstarter video I did for Magnetic by Nature was April 30th, so it ended sometime after that because I did it. It was at least a week left in the Kickstarter, I think. So,
I was in the early days of Pixel.
yeah, early
I did
days
not
of me
know
too.
what I was doing.
Me and Pixel actually started around the same time, which is kind of crazy to think about it.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then I also did a follow-up interview with 3 of the team members as well shortly after that, which was really fun to do. But even though I was a small YouTuber back then, I pushed that video in the Kickstarter as hard as I could. I actually got 290 views on that when most of my other videos were getting like 12 views at the time. So, because that's how much I
Nice.
liked the game. I was spamming Reddit, you know.
There were a couple of big events for us, and that was definitely one of it. We also got a really brief but positive mention on, I think it was Kotaku, and things spiked that day too. But yeah, those you were instrumental to getting us funded, so we're very grateful.
I have no proof of that. I'll just say hopefully my efforts were slightly significant. There's no way for me to prove how much money I earned a Kickstarter, unfortunately.
Power of YouTube.
It is. That's the power of YouTube is what drew me into it. I wanted to have that power for these games that nobody's ever heard of to help make them successful. That was my ultimate goal. And let's see here. Now, speaking of getting Kickstarters to be successful, let's go ahead and move on to the Kickstarter Spotlight. The Kickstarter we are looking at today is Hand of Fate, which is extremely interesting. We will go ahead and just be quiet for a moment and let the Kickstarter trailer play.
Hi, I'm Morgan Jafford and I'm the Creative Director and Founder of Defiant Development. And Hand of Fate is a card game that comes to life. After almost a year, we're ready to show Hand of Fate to the world and ask for your help in making it truly amazing. From here, we want you to be part of the process of final design, development, tuning, polish and final release. Hand of Fate is a card game that comes to life. You build your deck out of equipment and items, and the dealer builds a deck of monsters for you to face off against. Then those cards are dealt out as a dungeon floor that you explore. As you proceed, you'll face off against story encounters, where you'll need to make the right decisions to proceed, shops and characters that will challenge you, and you'll find new items and equipment that you can use. When you reach a combat encounter, all of the cards you've collected so far will fly into the world, along with the enemy cards, and you'll fight it out in an action RPG style. With every run, you'll earn new cards to add to your deck, so not only is there always something new to explore, but you'll also be able to tune and tweak your gameplay experience to be exactly as challenging as you desire. At Defiant, we're a small team of veteran developers based in Brisbane, Australia, and we've worked on series such as Homeworld, Mercenaries, Destroy All Humans, Freedom Force, Total War, Dark Reign, Fable, and more. We're making Hand of Fate because we love this sort of game. We play tabletop games, RPGs, roguelikes, and CCGs, and we were inspired by what we saw to build our own. Hand of Fate draws on that love, and the talented team have been working incredibly hard to bring our unique perspective to the game. We have a small, dedicated team pushing every day to make the best game possible, and we'd love to make you a part of that. We've put nearly a year into Hand of Fate, and we're incredibly excited about where we are. The game is already feeling fun, the mechanics are proven, all the pieces have fallen into place, and we know we've got something unique and amazing on our hands. That's where you come in. With your help, we can get Hand of Fate released in early 2014 with all of the cards, features, functionality and progression delivered to the highest possible level. We've already got a couple of great stretch goals lined up, including extra cards, custom content, and the one I'm most excited about, an expansion set of cards designed by some of the developers I respect the most. So, check out our pledges, including some awesome physical stuff like a deck of cards you can use to play at home, box copies of the game and t-shirts. Tell your friends, and be part of helping create something great. We can't wait to show you what we've been building here. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. We look forward to seeing you in the world of Hand of Fate.
And that is the Hand of Fate trailer, which is a very interesting concept. I rather like it. Interestingly enough, the developers of this are also Prescription Pixel's next door neighbors, apparently.
Yeah, they're from Brisbane.
They're
Brizzle my nizzle.
They're right next door.
Kind
It's
of.
very cool.
It is. It's kind of like a action roguelike, but instead of it just being invisible dice behind the scenes that cause the generation, it's the entire card mechanic. So it's got the random generation factor with you being able to influence it with your own deck of cards, which is a very interesting take on such a system. Plus the visualization effect of it, instead of it just randomly generating in the background levels for you, you see what's being drawn and why it's throwing certain things at you. I find it as a very interesting concept, and I very much want to play it.
I mean, when I saw it, I was like, because I really hate tabletop card games. But it's kind of a means to allow someone like me, who's really not keen on them at all, to enjoy them in a way that I am more comfortable with, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and the way I'm looking at it is it's not really playing a card game, rather than it just each side has their hand drawn, and then you get warped into the action RPG section of playing through what the cards had dealt. So there's no real back and forth that like a card game would be. It's more like just a visualization of how the world is generated. It's how I take it, at least. Somebody's got some noisy traffic.
Oh, that's me, sorry.
Because
Which is ironic, because I live on the 10th floor, so you'd think it would be the least.
your microphone picks everything up, apparently.
It does.
Mine has that habit,
no,
too.
don't shut the windows. It's too hot. It's too hot here to not have the windows open.
Yeah, we'll deal with some noise as long as Prescription Pixel doesn't die of heat stroke. So.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. Josh did a whole video in my owl onesie the other day. I'm surprised he's still with us.
You don't have air conditioning?
We do, but we're also cheap.
Okay.
So we're trying not to put it on if we can help it.
I see. I definitely turn my air conditioning on to record, at least.
Yeah.
And then I don't usually have it on because I'm cheap as well. But this game it's looking a little rough for them actually meeting their goal. They're at 38,000 of 50,000 Australian dollars, which is, I have no idea how much in American money, like 10 million or something.
Pretty much exact. No, they're pretty much exactly the same.
Oh, okay. With 4 days left to go, I've definitely seen Kickstarters in worse dire straits actually pull out an amazing photo finish. So it's definitely possible. And I want to play this. I really do. I didn't know about this Kickstarter development. Otherwise, I would have tried to hit up the developers for some kind of playable build. There's no public demo like a lot of Kickstarters have, so it's clearly they have something playable enough to make a video of, since it showed actual gameplay in the trailer. But I really wish I would have had the chance to contact them and see if I could get a video made of this, because I really want to play it. I love hack and slash RPGs. I love card games, even though the card game looks more of just a visualization of the level generation, is how I'm understanding it, at least. But I want to play it. I really want to play it.
I wonder how they came up with the idea to integrate them.
It's very interesting, isn't it? It's very innovative and definitely a new concept, which is why I love indie games.
It's not something I've ever seen before.
I do
The
wonder.
most exciting. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I do wonder what kind of progression system it has. You know, it's an RPG, an action RPG, when it comes to actual gameplay. So I wonder if there is any kind of leveling system, or if the progression system is entirely through the cards that you put into your deck. It's a very good question.
I like the fact that you have to kind of customize your own deck in order to face specific challenges. Like you know, if you have an enemy that's weak against a certain element or magic, then you can customize the way that you're playing
Oh, that's awesome.
using the deck.
I like the card art style. I'm really liking the art style of the cards. It's very simple, very monochromatic with splashes of red, which I have a thing for that kind of art style where it's black, white, and red, you know. What were you going to say before I interrupt you earlier, Paige, which I have a terrible habit of doing?
No, that's cool. Just to me, the most exciting thing about this is the idea that kind of what Pixel was saying, like you build your deck, so you're sort of choosing what you're going to see, but then it comes back at you in this way you can't predict. You know, I think they mentioned in here how if there's a particular pair, weapon, and armor that you want to bring, you put that into your deck, but you don't know when you're going to get them as you're playing.
Exactly.
That sounds really cool to me.
Yeah, your deck definitely, it's like any card game in that respect. You build a deck to try and hope for certain things, but it still comes down to the draw and what order you get them in, which is a very interesting mechanic when you bring that into an action RPG setting. Can you then spawn with no actual weapon? I wonder if that could happen. You don't get it in your starting hand, no weapon in your starting hand, you got to go punch things.
That'd be interesting.
And I wonder how the mechanic of then drawing more cards from your deck works. If there's a timer before another card gets drawn to add to you, or if you have to, if it's like an item pickup within the generated dungeon floor. I'm really curious on how all the logistics of it work out.
It's certainly
seems
an
like it would be a
interesting
lot to
game put
balance.
together.
Balance would be a nightmare, I'm sure. And I do wonder how much roguelike there is to it besides the level generation being randomized based on a card hand. I wonder if it's like a permadeath kind of thing, if there's persistent progression in it, in bosses. There's a lot of questions I would actually like to ask the developers about this, because it looks pretty amazing and there's a lot of potential there. So that's the Kickstarter. Oh, hey, I should drop the link in the chat because I'm a scumbag and haven't done that yet. And I can't type today, apparently.
I'm almost finished my picture of Ben.
We gotta see this before the podcast ends, but the podcast is ending in about
totally.
10 minutes, so...
Oh, I can get it up in 10 minutes.
Okay. And I will be ready to throw it up on stream, so my lovely viewers on YouTube can see it when they watch this on my YouTube channel, the VOD of this. Because you guys see Pixel's amazing MS Paint art. It's on Smith level is what it is.
What?
Is that a compliment or an insult? I don't know.
I like it.
You're a douchebag.
Me?
And it's all
Yeah.
I thought it was nice.
My paint's much better than your paint.
No, that was just being condescending.
Don't look at me like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have JsmithOTI on the podcast as a surprise guest.
Yeah.
Which I will point out,
Everyone.
JSmith, there's an open invitation if you ever want to be on my podcast.
Awesome, thank you very much.
I would be quite honored, actually. It's that's what happens when YouTubers live together. One doesn't do anything without the other one being involved somehow.
Yeah. It's an issue.
I don't think it's a bad thing, but I'm not saying it's a bad issue.
Japan.
She's not going to say her thoughts on that because he's sitting right there, so.
No, I just like it when I randomly wander in and you're recording. I'm just like, what you playing?
Yeah.
I
nice.
think it's
Like
an entertaining touch to the videos. I really do.
Mm.
I was amazing when the entire internet exploded when JSmith showed up on your stream,
That was the funnest time.
and I knew it was gonna. I already knew about it, so because I was on call with you for like 3 hours working on a computer, which is how I got Prescription Pixel on this podcast. Actually, a lot of people are probably wondering how I managed that. It's kind of hidden above my weight class, and it's not blackmail or anything. I just fixed her computer and invited her, and she said sure.
Very appreciative.
And showed her an amazing website called Night, which is wonderful.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing that I've ever seen.
It's great for when you're reinstalling your computer. It really is. Saves so much time. All right, well, while she finishes up her art, we will start the outro here. We'll go ahead and start with Paige. Just outro to tell people where to find you, get more information on Magnetic by Nature, who to follow on Twitter, drop your links in the chat, and all of that.
Cool, yeah. So I already dropped the games link, magneticbynature.com. We also have a website for ourselves, but there's nothing there yet. I'm very active on Twitter. It's the best place to get in touch with me. P_Ashlyn, ASHLYNN. And then you can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TeamTripleSlash. There's a lot of we frequently post photos and things about the stuff that we're doing there.
So what is the correct name of the studio? Because some places it's // Studios, some places it's TeamTripleSlash.
Yeah, okay. So I guess we had originally decided to call ourselves // Studios, and then again, with the being noobs, partway through we were like, well, that doesn't really work in all contexts, so we're in the process of rebranding to //
Okay, I was wondering if I was saying it wrong when I was saying TeamTripleSlash.
No, you're saying it right. It's totally our fault.
Branding fail, but you know, it happens.
Yeah.
And how about you, Pixel? Tell everybody where they can find you, what's coming up on your channel, drop your links. Anyone in this chat that doesn't know who Prescription Pixel is fails at life anyway, but you know, just in case.
Hi, I'm Prescription Pixel. I have a... Oh, I just gave myself a head rush by stretching too much. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm also very active on Twitter, youtube.com/prescriptionpixel, twitter.com/rx_pixel. Focus entirely on indie games featuring things like Kickstarters, alpha demos, and free indie games that everyone can play together. I really like the community, so I love it when people get involved.
And she's also affiliated with Indie Static these days. Gotta brag about that.
I probably should talk about that. Yeah, I post videos on indiestatic.com. They're probably the #1 resource for indie games that I've ever used, so it's a real privilege to be able to contribute to their website.
I'll be honest, most of my indie games that I discover is through Indie Static. I visit that site a lot. Especially for the free games.
I like it.
Josh Mattingly, that mustache. That's all I gotta say. The
It's
mustache.
it's become something of a staple for him, isn't it? I've finished Ben.
Oh, right.
He's got a beard. There you go, guys.
He's got a beard. Oh, we gotta see this.
I just gave him a little beard.
Okay, let me see if I can
Awesome.
get window capture going here for this.
I lay in bed late at night and dream of Josh Mattingly's moustache.
I do too. There we go.
It had nothing to do with me. I did not say that.
It's Ben the bearded robot. It is quite wonderful. Oh, it's not all showing up. Let's go ahead and make it fit screen here. There we go. Couldn't see its foot. You gotta see the foot too. The wonderful foot. That's some box art right there. There you go.
There you go, Paige. As a present for you. Lovely to meet you.
Okay,
It was great meeting you too, yeah, and that will definitely be going up on our Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, and I am, of course, Fedora Gamer, the host, not co-host. Maximus would be outroing right now, too, if he had been here, but unfortunately, real life's gotten in the way for him. So, he twerks a lot. That's Maximus. You can check him out at twitch.tv/MaximusJ07. Good friend of mine.
He twerks a lot.
Yes, he twerks a lot. Somebody in chat, give me a Maximus twerk gif. Go. You can do it. I know a lot of them have it, like, hotkeyed. I'll have to put that on this, too. On the window capture before the end of it. Okay, yeah, spam your website, Lucara. And I will put this up here. Maybe. Okay, there is Maximus.
Holy shit!
The twerk. The GIF broke. There we go. There we go.
Oh!
There's Maximus twerking on stream. He's done it at least 4 times that I know of.
Holy shit!
Oh wow, that is something special.
It's Maximus. Maximus is wonderful.
Wonderful is low down on the list of words that came to mind when I
He usually
saw
does.
that.
He usually does that, like charity streams. Donate so much for this charity, and I'll twerk, and people throw money at him to twerk. So he's doing it right.
Good.
The
times.
EXO one. I don't know. Let me get back to that. No, because EXO doesn't actually twerk. It's a disgrace to call it a twerk. But I'm also running out of time because if I go over 2 hours, then I can't easily export it to YouTube because Twitch does stuff like that. So I am Fedora Gamer. You can check me out at youtube.com/Fedora Gamer with a 4 for the A in gamer, which is a very awkward thing to say every time I have to say it out loud. But someone stole the name I actually wanted. So I'm also on this Twitch channel that you are currently on right now. I mainly just do the randomly generated podcast on this channel, and now and then I do a random stream of some game I decide I feel like streaming. I would like to stream more, but, you know, YouTubing takes a lot of time as it is.
For sure.
And what you expect on my channel is I cover purely indie games as well, just like Prescription Pixel. I do a series dedicated to Kickstarter games called Kicking It, which is how I meet wonderful devs like Paige here. That is probably the thing I like the most about this YouTubing thing is the contact I've had with lots of awesome indie game developers. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
That's the reason I started doing it.
It's so much fun to make friends with indie game devs because they're all such cool people.
I think it's the best part of being an indie game dev is the interaction you get with people that are interested in games.
Even if it's even all the bad interaction, have you got like a lot of troll issues
yeah,
yet?
okay, maybe I shouldn't say all the interaction.
Yeah.
But I guess
YouTube
I'd rather
comments.
take the good with the bad than have nothing.
Exactly. And that's the story of YouTubing too.
Yeah.
And then I also cover, fully released indie games. I do incoming indie, which is in development indie games that are in alpha beta stages, which is what I get most sent to me lately, it would seem. But my email box is full of stuff as it is. I'm so behind. So that's who I am, where you can check me out. So that is the end of this week's podcast. Thank you very much for joining us, Paige and Prescription Pixel.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
And next week, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No idea who the guests will be. I'll be figuring that out in the next couple days, probably. And we'll see everybody there. Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day.